Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. Today we're trying to figure out why Battleship New Jersey has a pair of offensive hand grenade lockers that can each hold 80 grenades. So, ready service lockers like this are all over the ship. And by the 1980s, they don't tend to hold machine gun ammunition or small arms ammunition anymore. We have a number of small arms lockers and magazines, and we'll go through some of those in a future video. And we have basically 2 rifle platoons worth of Marines on board, over 60 Marines assigned to the ship in the 1980s. And the Marines had their typical 1980s and 90s web gear that had the 2 triple magazine pouches, each with a pair of grenade pouches on it. So the Marines had all this small arms that they would draw from a separate place on the ship, and between them and the Mastered Arms Force, you've got plenty of people guarding the ship with small arms. They're drawing that stuff from magazines. It's not pre-positioned in lockers around the ship. I always thought that because we are on the O3 bridge, the Admiral's Bridge, which is also our signal bridge, that this would be a pyrotechnics locker where you kept signal flares. We've got blinking lights, we've got semaphore flags and signal flags, so why not also the pyrotechnics here? But the blueprints clearly label this as an offensive hand grenade locker. So I'm not entirely sure if that means that you are using the hand grenades offensively, or if all hand grenades are offensive hand grenades. I don't think there's such a thing as a defensive hand grenade. But up here on the O3, the bridge is recessed into the side of the ship. This isn't a great place to try and pitch a hand grenade to hit something else. If you're down here on the O1 level, virtually on the side of the ship, that seems like a pretty good place to pitch a hand grenade. If you're up in the superstructure, higher up, and you can get a bigger arc with your hand grenade, that seems like a good place to pitch it. But the O3 here, we're undercover, so I would hate to throw my grenade and have it bounce back at me. From up here, half of the distance I can throw a grenade is just getting it over the side of the ship. So I don't know what I'm supposed to hit. And also, why up here? There isn't a particularly good shield here for me to get down behind if we're in some sort of gunfight, under siege style, with people who have boarded the ship, which is incredibly unlikely. Also, it specifically says hand grenade. So another thought we had was, hey, there are the belt-fed 40mm grenade launchers. Those are widely available in the 80s. We have no evidence that one was ever issued to an Iowa-class battleship. And no mounting points up here that would indicate that that's where one was. So it's not like this would have been for ammunition like that. And again, those are relatively short-range weapons, so it doesn't fit with the battleship. So the only thing that we could think of was maybe these are for destroying sensitive information. Directly below us, like I said, is the ship's signal exploitation space, where we are literally spying on Soviet communications. And right next to that is the Combat Engagement Center. The Combat Engagement Center is where all of the Tomahawk information is, including information about the nuclear Tomahawks that we may or may not have carried. But, yeah, so that's the other thing about this locker. This locker specifically says that it holds 80 offensive hand grenades. 80, and there's 2 of them. There's one on each side of the ship. 80 offensive hand grenades. That's a lot. I myself only have 2 offensive hand grenades. Hey Libby, do you know where the pin is for this grenade? Why you need 80 hand grenades? In addition to those spaces down below where if something happens and we run aground in enemy waters, or we're foundering, maybe we hit a mine, or a coastal submarine hits us. We don't really have great defenses against that. And the ship is going to sink in shallow water where we're worried about them recovering some of our classified stuff. Here we've got 160 hand grenades to take to any of the data equipment. So why is this on the 03 and not the 02 where the SSES and CEC are? Well, right on the other side of this bulkhead, in what used to be flag spaces here on the 03 bridge, is where all of the data files for the Tomahawks are stored in safes. Tomahawks in the 80s and 90s had to have their guidance packages programmed on a disk that you could upload into the computer. And when you sailed, you had to have that GPS data for the land attack Tomahawks already on board. It's not really easy to get that data and then program a flight path. So you tended to carry packages for where you were going to be operating. We're going to operate off the coast of Russia in the Sea of Oshkosh, like Battleship New Jersey did. Well, maybe we've got guidance packages that show Soviet facilities that we know of in that area that we could engage. We're operating in the Persian Gulf, where we're about to start the Gulf War. Hey, maybe we've got targeting information there on where we think that Saddam's non-existent chemical weapons are. And if something happens to this ship and it's boarded or lost, we definitely don't want people finding out about that technology, how our missiles work, or what targets of theirs we know about and have targeted. And you know what? Maybe we're also targeting allied stuff in the region too. So maybe Saudi Arabia wouldn't be too happy to find out that we have guidance packages for their stuff. I don't know. This is all speculation. I have absolutely no idea why this is labeled as an offensive hand grenade locker. It's got a big lock on it, which makes it seem unlikely that it's signal flares. But when we open this thing, there's sure room for 80 hand grenades, but it doesn't give us any evidence. Oh yeah, hand grenades were definitely stored in there, or no, they just took a hand grenade locker and used it for signal flares. Well, there are pyrotechnics lockers designs. This is specifically labeled as a hand grenade locker. And why any ship would need 80 all-offensive hand grenades stored on board, I do not know why this is a pattern that the Navy has in the 80s. So, if any of my fellow Iowa sailors are watching this, and you might have some better information, or any of my other Iowa Museum people, I would love to hear what you know. If any of you viewers have any insight in this, drop them in the comments section. I'm real interested in hearing what you have. In addition to the pineapple grenades, which are a World War II thing, there were also lemon grenades and baseball grenades. Which ones do you own or have used in your military service? Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State. We also receive support from a number of other donors, both organizations and individuals like you. And in particular, the individual support we've received from you guys donating to our YouTube channel in particular has allowed us to make filming these videos a larger part of our job. Thank you for supporting us and the museum. There's a link in the description if you'd like to continue helping. Also, because we're now making multiple videos a week, remember to like, share, and subscribe so that you get notified when this stuff comes out. Thanks for watching.